You know what? I have no transition for this because it's just fucking stupid. Let's talk about Star Wars. So Star Wars, Daisy Ridley
Oh,
gave some
jeez.
interview. I don't know what Josh Gaddy's doing interviews with a bunch of people. Good for him. She gave an interview where apparently in Force Awakens it was talked about that she was going to be Kenobi, and then in Last Jedi obviously it changed to her being a nobody, and then in Episode 9 it changed to her being a Palpatine. The problem is, one, there's just a lot of fucking changes, but two, the problem is with Episode 9 is she talked about this conversation she had with JJ where he went to her and said, okay, you're gonna be a Palpatine. They shot the scene, and then she talked about him about the next day or two, and he said, well, we're not sure if that's the route we're going anymore. And this is in the middle of filming the movie. And that for me is like, I'm fine if they changed it all these times in between movies. It's still a lame duck situation if they should have it mapped out. I know people say, oh, well, George didn't have it planned out. Like, oh, Luke's going to be nobody. It's going to be Darth Vader's fault. Like that happened in the middle. But the difference was like, Star Wars wasn't it was a big franchise, but it wasn't the weight that you had when you bought it, the big weight of a Star Wars franchise, you know? So that's the thing of like, they should have mapped it out, but fine, you change it in middle of the movie. The fact that while filming, Daisy Ridley has no idea in scenes that she's acting if she is a Palpatine or if she's no, like she literally has no idea who she is. Again, if you tell her before the movie starts, then it's fine because she goes, okay, this is my motivation as an actress. I'm Palpatine's daughter. Here we go. I'm not agreeing with it, but here we go. But to in the middle of the movie be like, yeah, you might be that, but you might not be. We don't
Well,
know.
doesn't that kind of go with the character of being not knowing who she is?
But you have no, but you have to, you got to give the actress and actor like a chance to portray those emotions of being a Palpatine or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
she shouldn't
you're
be
right.
confused while making a movie, you know?
I
Like
agree with
that's the
you.
thing. And I trust Daisy
I'm trying
enough
to
that
defend them.
I trust her enough that if she knows this information, she can act that. Because nothing was wrong with her performance in these movies. She was great, and that's what frustrates me in Rise Skywalker. Somehow she gave a great performance with all this shit. But Kirkland, I'll throw to you first because you threw a Steve Harvey gif at me, and you threw an Office gif at me today, talking about Rey's
Unintentionally, but it
parentage.
worked out.
And then also Daisy Ridley says she has no plans to return to Star Wars, but never say never.
Yeah, just I was so just like, why are like, what's the point of even talking about this? Like, you could go on and on about movie. Like, you could go the very first Star Wars movie, be like, oh, what happened if this guy was possibly attached to this person? It's just like, does that even matter? Like, it was made. We saw what we saw. Go talk about your own fan theories if you want, but like these little conversations that we're hearing on, like just like behind the scenes stuff, it like for me personally, it does not matter. I don't know. I don't really have much to say on it.
Wow, Jessica.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what Kirkland was saying. I mean, the audience didn't really know anyway, so, you know.
Apparently the actors
or director, cast, crew, no one just fucking knew.
Well, I mean, I feel like you should be able to do your job as an actor or an actress without knowing. Especially, like, you get times where they record scenes out of order, and, I don't know. I think that, to me, it doesn't necessarily matter. And I mean, especially she's not coming back anymore, right? She said that she's not signing any more contracts. So,
but she said never say never. So I wouldn't say that she's done completely.
Like she gets that Mark Hamill like return to the series contract.
I do think we'll see Daisy Ridley again one day. I honestly do.
And Kylo?
No, I think Adam Driver had enough of this fucking experience. Because rumor is, again, with this Palpatine stuff, that because they added in the movie late, it was so late in the game that they had to send a sound crew to his house, and he had to go into his home closet and record the line, "You're a Palpatine," and like he had to like he put a coat jacket over his mouth to like give himself the Kylo Ren muffle. Like, this is what I mean, and I understand.
That's so bad.
Katie, like that's an actual thing.
That's a rumor that's been around for a while. I think it might actually be true, but that's the thing. Like Kay said the same thing as you two. It's kind of like it happened, move on. I'm fine to move on. I just think I'm just pissed that the more I hear about this is just like you had Star Wars. I think MC has eclipsed it, but at that point, to me, the biggest franchise of all time. And it's just like the care that you showed with it. I guess to me, I bring it up, it's just because like, what do we have in the future? I know we have Obi-Wan, Mandalorian. I hope those are great, but it's just like, it just gets me so bummed. We're in the middle. I was always defending it. And I'm not somebody that has like lost my love of Star Wars. I still do, but I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. I've lost my excitement for it for sure. Like hearing these type of stories where to me, it's just like, I know some people go like, oh, the MCU's too planned out, but it's like, this is the reason why it's planned out. So you don't have people go in their fucking house.
Yeah.
closet to re-record lines, you know?
Wasn't there a director change?
Yeah, there was the guy who did the Jurassic World movie was supposed to do episode 9, and then JJ was doing it. But then also there's apparently lots of script changes because Disney didn't like the reaction to Last Jedi, so they wanted them to maybe change a bunch of stuff, which is another reason why Rise of Skywalker is just a mess of a film.
Yeah.
So yeah, could that be the reason that there was a bunch of changes? Is because JJ came in late and was
100%, yeah.
So I mean, you know, you kind of got to give some slack there.
You can delay a movie though, Jessica.
And not.
I think just like
before
the
COVID.
whole,
Yeah.
the whole.
But they didn't know that then. You know, we got to get this out. Like, luckily, yeah, they did come before COVID. It made its like $1 billion. But if before then, it just was like, it was just they're always like, we announced it. It has to be 2 years apart. Like, we got to hit it. It's just like, again, because COVID, they're laughing now. But let's say COVID never happened. It's just like, oh, like if we would have just had like a little bit more, like you didn't have to rush it, you know, like just take some time. But
yeah, it's interesting. I feel like the whole like new trilogy that they did with Disney, like by bringing back something that's so gargantuan in size as series of Star Wars, like you're just opening up Pandora's box where no matter what they do, everyone's going to be complaining no matter what. But like it is such a big series that for them to not really have like a solid plan for like just 3 movies, like totally disregard their anthology films that they did, Solo, Rogue One, like all of that stuff aside. It's just I agree with you, Travis. I feel like they almost like I think they should have been like Marvel structured level where like they can at least produce 3 movies that are gonna go together just like the original trilogy did. And like when you watch the original trilogy, there's no like, wait, what the hell happened to this person? Oh no, so they're related to this and then this. Like, I don't know. The more I've had time to like stew on it, it's definitely just like irked me more and more. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
I'm the same way. We're always in the moment. I was like, oh yeah, and even my review of Rise of Skywalker, I think I gave it like a 7. And
I was super positive on it.
Yeah,
too.
I still don't know where I would be as far as like an enjoyment score because I always kind of give that bad. Like, there's great moments and scenes and acting in it, but like as a film, I think it's like it's a fail as a film and it's poorly made. But Taylor, what do you feel about all this business? Also, we've talked about some of this before, but the race stuff specifically.
So for me, like I needed to watch Rise of Skywalker a few more times, and I stand by the fact that my appreciation and enjoyment of it developed after watching it a few more times. It definitely, I was excited after the first watch, but it wasn't like I wasn't confident to how I felt about it. That being said, I still like the movie, and to me, it feels like at the end of the day, not at all like the original trilogy. And it feels like it's got a little bit of that wackiness that the prequels had and its own kind of like trajectory, I guess you could say. But to me, it feels like a Star Wars film. So when you have these people coming forward with all of this information, I think it is important and relevant because I think everyone's just speculating based on what they saw of the movie. Like, oh, the movie was a mess. And that's what people are saying. I think when you have official proof of these people that worked on the film saying that this was a mess, then that adds so much more weight to the fact that, okay, it sheds the light on that, because I'm not going to believe a random Joe Blow in the street like, oh, that movie was such a mess. I want to hear the actual facts from the cast and crew members that are saying this movie, you know, whether or not you were going to be a Palpatine or a Kenobi, it was just such a mess that we didn't know. I think that has weight to it, and it lets the people know that, okay, Disney needs to be held accountable for just having such a train wreck of a trilogy. And if you can't properly deliver 3 movies, then you have bigger problems going on. And it really goes to show, like, I think Force Awakens was a great way to kickstart what they were doing with. Yes, it had similarities, all that whatever dilemma, but it definitely set us off on a path that was going down a great direction. And it, to me personally, with Rogue One coming out, it got even better. And then when we got to Last Jedi, like, obviously it's very mixed, but that's like that for me. Star Wars, this trilogy with Last Jedi, is going to be the most controversial thing I've seen in like a fan base, where it's just been so split down the center, and you can see a clear twist in how the directors are doing things. That right there just goes to show where, like, I like Last Jedi, but you could just see that the stories were just breaking apart in different ways, and that consistency is gone. Whereas when you watch Empire, when you watch Attack of the Clones, even in the prequel, there's a huge time jump, but it still feels like it's a cohesive story at times where they're going in this certain trajectory.
One writer, that's why.
Yeah, one writer. There you
Like
go.
there's multiple writers, but like the main guy is always George and then George and somebody, right? I don't agree with all George's stuff. I think the prequels have a better story than this trilogy because it's like it's not executed that way and it's not acted that way, but from the point A to point B, there's more of a vision like, okay, we're going to start here and we're going to get there. Or this, it just feels like after The Force Awakens, they didn't have like an ending point. They're just like, I always saw it like when we saw Force Awakens, like, oh, I can't wait to see what they got next. And it's just like, it feels like the day after Force Awakens, they didn't even know. It's like, wow, that was great. We hit a home run. What should we do next? Well, I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out, and
yeah, I mean, I'm a very big advocate for the fact that I think episode 9 should have been put into 2 parts. They should have just done it was such a rushed film at times, but if that story was slowed down and they didn't just dump Palpatine right on us right away in that film, but let's say episode 9 was building up to the fact that if they built up to that fact that, okay, Palpatine is rumored to be coming back and then drop in episode 10 where Palpatine just pops back into the picture, I think that would have been awesome. It would have built that hype back up. But just to throw him in there, and throw that wedge, it's like, I don't know. And now I'm glad that we have these showrunners for The Mandalorian that have worked with, they've worked with George Lucas. I know Kathleen Kennedy has and such, but you have these directors and these actors, well, not all actors, but these directors and these people that have worked on the stories and the characters from the past with George Lucas. And I think that element carrying over, whether you like it or not, fans, like has with George and what he did with Star Wars, like when you have him not directing, but when you have that element of George that you work with kind of channeled through into, these subordinates that work on these projects, like it works. And I mean, Mandalorian, to me, I think that's a perfect example of that. And it'll be interesting to see how they do, season 2 and all that.
October 30th.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I just to reiterate like what Travis was saying, like when I went to go see Force Awakens and then when I left that movie, like I don't think I'd ever been so hyped for Star Wars like in my life, because it was just like the first time that they were bringing back this new series. And then as each movie came out, I felt like I was going into it with rose-tinted glasses, so it helped the situation a lot, that I just noticed what you saw. So yeah, I went into each new movie like with rose-tinted glasses, just hoping that it would be good, hoping that I would have those Star Wars love. And I felt like every time I left that theater, I just got less and less excited for the series that has just been so part of my life for so long. It's really unfortunate that it's going that way. And I don't think I'm ever going to be that excited for Star Wars again.
Yeah, you
honestly.
will. Mandalorian got you excited, didn't it?
Not the level of like episode 7.
Because that's like the characters we know and love coming back. That's the main trilogy. Yeah. I hope one day we can get that excited, but I don't think I'll ever get Saga excited again because there's no redos with Carrie Fisher. There's no going to be redos with Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford,
No, exactly. That was their one shot with this trilogy. And in my opinion, they kind of dropped the ball on it, So episode 7 is great. And like, if you listen to our reviews, like a lot of the time I will stand by what I was saying on there. Like I did enjoy myself in that moment, sitting in the theater, seeing that crawl of the credits and then getting like the theme that we all know and love and seeing these characters again, hearing those blaster shots. Like it's just such a good experience, but I'll never be at that excitement again.
Yeah. A fair point.
Travis almost died there. He's laughing.
Crying.